Pro-level tripping. Cool. So you dropped acid. What did you do? Stayed at home where it's safe for the most of the time and ventured out at some point? Maybe to the shop for beer. You hugged the wall most of the way to the shop perhaps, wearing sunshades to avoid eye contact with any non-tripping people. You know this would be disastrous. You managed to hold the brief exchange with the shopkeeper without seeming like a total lunatic, you think. Anyway, with your beer paid for, you do your best to turn around and walk in the most normal way possible. So that's an entry-level tripping scenario. Going to a rave, an illegal rave, in a dilapidated building? Now we're talking. Being arrested, spending time in custody, riding a bus, talking to police or paramedics. These are what would seem to be intermediate tripping scenarios where the risk of arrest or hospitalization is high and the reward is a glum self-satisfaction that you're totally juiced and not one person can tell you shit about it. I'm looking for pro-level tripping scenarios. A small bump, or a line, of ketamine is a favorite of mine while tripping as it takes it to a new level. Any thoughts? Welcome. Ho hum. Crazy horse.
I can see a rave being fun, but the other stuff just sounds like being an asshole in public. To each their own, I guess.
Gonna have to second. You're just being a fuckhead nuisance. You're misidentifying the cone of shame for a witch's hat. If police or paramedics have to get involved, you're a baby stumbling about. Which is also the tip into what the pro level is. The pro level is where you can interact with society and not be a idiot fuckhead practicing idolatry of the alien perspective solely based on its novelty rather than actual value or usefulness. If you can interact with the foreign to sober concepts at the same time as being coherent and non-abrasive to standardized fellow citizens.
You're having fun. Wrong. The thread.
RHODA level. A small bump. Lol. I went to a rave on 500 micrograms A.D. 200 milligrams MDMA and went through over a gram of K and then walked 4 miles home across the ghetto of West Philadelphia, doing more K as I walked. Nothing about that is pro level. That's just being high. You honestly sound like you just hit your 20th trip and suddenly think you're the shit. Same as I did when I was 17 in the above story. Pick related is you.
Tomatoes are literally fruit though.
See, this kind of behavior is why Will Smith got sent to Bel Air.
Pro-level tripping. Having a killer fucking time. This thread is now about cool things you've done tripping and I'll start. I recently took a small dose, 1/2 a tab of some really good stuff, and hit a sauna. That was awesome.
Made Bloody Marys while dancing tribally around the campfire with Nerf guns and neon lawn darts. Not the kill you with spikes kind, to shoot them in the air with a slingshot kind.
I was once on 50 mg 4-ACOM MET and 350 mg DXM when my friend OD'd on recreational chemicals and OPIs in my house, and I had to decide if he was turning blue, green or purple, because I was tripping or he was dying. Turned out, a little column A, little column B. I was checking his pulse and pupils and shit. Don't remember the numbers, but they were right between bad and dreadful. I propped him in the recovery position. I followed the procedures I found online about diagnosing and treating an OD. I wanted to move as fast as possible in case he was dying, but I didn't want to call the paramedics and ruin a perfectly nice nod because I was seeing rainbows. Meanwhile, everything around him is pulsating colors. He's still in the blue range, but so was the red carpet, so fuck me. Then they switched and it's all purple. I was checking his pulse again. What number was I on? Fuck. Etc. So I started slapping him until he woke up enough to ask him where he was. No idea. What day it was? No idea. What my name was? He got that one. I went back to where he was. Your house. He slurred. How'd you get here? Couldn't remember. His head would roll back and I'd pull him back up. At the time I had one of those toilets that just flushes by itself sometimes, and the plumbing was like right next to my room, so the whole process was amplified through the walls somehow. I had learned to tune it out completely, but in the middle of all my fussing and checking and reading and my phone with 911 ready to press call, he out of nowhere opens his eyes and goes, "Why's you toilet Olu?" And I knew we were good. I made a bed for him on the floor and stayed awake watching over him for the whole night. When he woke up he thanked me and said that he didn't remember much, but he knew that he had taken way too much and that I had looked after him somehow. I told him the story. He said it was fucking terrifying, but overall he was glad I hadn't called the paramedics. He threw out his whole OPI stash that day and never touched another one, to my knowledge.
You are credit to team.
I recently got back from a trip out to the Great Sand Dunes. My buddy and I backpacked out a few miles from one of the main trails and camped out on the dunes themselves. We both ate some LSD in the morning and went to climb up on the tallest dune we could find while on the come up. We are both very experienced hikers/climbers, but trying to scale a massive dune while trudging through super soft sand is a lot more effort than we initially thought. We finally made it up to the dune after a good while, and by then the acid was rolling pretty good. I made the fantastic decision to bring some nitrous and a little Bluetooth speaker so we were able to blast off while overlooking the vastness of the Great Sand Dunes themselves. If you have never tried LSD and N2O, I would highly recommend it. That shit will take you deep. It was quite a transcendental experience without a doubt. After we were settled in, we wandered around the surrounding area, which left us feeling like Arabian spice traders navigating the Sahara. It was most definitely a harsh environment to be out there attempting to survive in. There is no water or shade and the sun got so intense you could feel the sun blazing down, just sapping out your vitality from any exposed skin that it found. And I felt like I could almost feel the environment's energy trying to dissuade any and all forms of life from attempting to thrive or even survive the brutality of the sandy desert. I've spent a good amount of time in the desert, but never in a land so absolutely barren. It felt like a real test of surviving the elements in a way I haven't quite experienced before. But yet it was a price I would certainly pay again for some of the most beautiful views I have ever experienced in my life. Unfortunately, pictures don't even come close to doing it justice.